Okay.
This is for the girls getting money. This is for the girls that don't need no man. This is for the girls in love with themselves. This is for all the girls that done did it by themselves. This is for all the girls that's INTEPENDNT. This is for all the girls that been living stress free. This is for all the girls on a mission like me. This for the girls. This for all the girls around the world. This is for the girls. This for all the girls around the world.
All I need is good energy. I don't need no negativity around me. High frequency. I'm talking high G-O-D. Yeah. Good energy. I don't need no negativity around me. High frequency. I'm talking high G-O-D.
Welcome to Girl Talk, a platform for women to speak and be heard. I am your host, Unique J, aka the Survivor's Coach. Before we get started, let's go over some locker room rules. First and foremost, I am not an expert at anything, but I'm experienced at a lot of things. This is a judge-free zone. Jesus is popping to me, not up for debate. With that being said, hey ladies, let's talk about it.
Hello, welcome. As stated in the intro, I am your host, Unique J, the Survivor's Coach. And today we will be discussing co-parenting with two phenomenal women that's part of two awesome organizations. Let's welcome Miss Avis.
Thank you.
From Brothers and Sisters United. And then we have Miss Anita from No Kidding, Ohio, Lucas County Rise. That was a lot for me to take. I kept saying no comment, Lucas County Rise. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome for coming and having some girl talk with us today. So we're going to kickstart into our show, and how we kickstart is we go into our play of the day. And our play of the day states, co-parenting is not hard when you are not worried about the other parent's business and focus on what's good for the child or the children. All right. So after that, we kind of go into a segment of locker room talk, which locker room talk is like just a little icebreaker so we can get to know who our guests are. So this is not about your organization or anything. This is about you guys personally. Nothing too major. So our first question is always the 3-part. Where are you from? Do you have kids, spouse, grandchildren? And what's your title? So we'll start with you first, Miss Avis.
All right. Avis Files. I am a mother, a sister, but all those things. I have 4 children, and I am the grandmother. I'm not grandmother, I'm BB, because I look too young to be a grandmother.
Okay.
So BB is Swahili for grandma.
Okay.
And I have 3 grandchildren, 2 grandboys and 1 grandgirl. I have been married. I've been a single mom, married, abused, divorced, remarried. So I've been a lot of different things in the space of where women can go as far as relationships and things are concerned. I have 1 daughter who is stepdaughter to me, and then I have 3 children. I have 2 different co-parents. So I got a lot of stuff going on.
All right. And what's your job title?
My job title is Director of Family and Supportive Services for Pathway Incorporated, which is a designated community action agency for Lucas County. And I chair for the Brothers and Sisters United program, and also the B Youth and S Youth program. So we work with young people as well.
All right. Miss Anita.
All right. I am a wife, a mother. I am a caretaker and a grandma. And that is my greatest joy, being a Mima to my 2 children and then 1 on the way. And I too have been abused, and I've healed a lot of my stuff. And that's a part of me that I love walking with people through their healing journey, because everyone needs that support. And my title is I'm the Agency and Outreach Community Coordinator for Child Support. And I'm also the program manager for the No Kidding Ohio Lucas County Raise program.
All right. That's crazy because all of us are all of us are grandmothers and nobody go by that title because I go by Nana.
Right. Not at all. Don't do that.
Don't give me
Don't do
that G word. All right. So our next question is, what is your greatest strength?
I would say the fact to just keep pushing, especially because we primarily work with Black families. So the fact to just have the tenacity to first do it and to continue to just be in that space.
All right.
I would say the same thing, that I'm an advocate for the community that needs help, especially with my work at child support. We have to be out there in the community to help people understand the process and what it all means. And so I'm a pusher for that. And we have finally now created an outreach worker, and that is me.
All right. Congratulations. Okay. And our next question is, what are your hobbies or your favorite pastime activities? I know yours is traveling.
Work. Work.
Really?
Yeah, but I also write a little poetry. I like to read. I am a learner, so I like to read different kind of books, self-help books and different things like that. But I also like to travel as well. The beach is my hobby, where there is sand and sun.
All right. Miss Anita?
My hobby is creating different ways to bring something to the community. I just met with some other lady yesterday. It just so happened, Sandra, and we talked about like lunches and learns in the community so that people have a place where they feel safe and where they can talk, because we know through talking there's healing. So that is my greatest. I love that hobby where we can just be creative and find out different ways where we can do that for the community.
All right. And last but not least, how did you get into your current position?
That's a long story. I'll try to make it short. So I am a grant writer, and I attend First Church of God, where Bishop Culp was the bishop for a long time, and now Pastor Eric Butler is the pastor. So I write grants, and I kind of fell into this work because they called us about a grant and said, "Hey, would you be interested in working with African American couples in your community?" So we joined 5 other cities, and we started to work with couples that were either married or not married, but around healthy relationship skills. What do you need to do to keep your relationship going, keep it hot, keep it fresh? Do you need to have a relationship, right? And so from there, we started to just write grants and got in the trajectory of being with the Administration for Children and Families at the federal level, and then working in healthy marriage, which is basically healthy marriage skills. And then about 10 years ago, because of the data, the way that things were showing in Toledo, who needed help, what do they need help with? We stepped into the space of fatherhood. So now I've been a fatherhood practitioner for about 10 years. So I kind of lead the way in actually being one across the country of female fatherhood practitioners. So I'm considered to be a fatherhood practitioner. So that's how I kind of just got into the work. Always been a social worker, been a social worker in the city for 32 years. So just been at different agencies, different places, working in social services around help, but really kind of found the niche and call to really work in the field for fathers, and in particularly for Black fathers.
Okay. Miss Anita?
Yeah, I think this is, again, why Avis and I work so well together, because we almost have the same answers. Mine was the push for a community outreach worker to go out, especially with child support, again, to educate people on the processes because they just don't understand. And then again, my own healing. And so there is victory in healing. There is greatness in healing.
Yes.
And so in working with child support, you see so much that needs to be healed. And, again, I just want to walk with people through their healing process. And that's how I got the director finally heard my plea. Avis knows my struggles of really wanting that community outreach coordinator. And she heard it. And here we are.
All right. Well, thank you both for participating in our locker room talk. And before we get into our show in details, because we're going to go deep into details, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break.
With Big T, Shay, and Miss Amy. Mud Talk is the only show that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion, and keeping your ears to the streets while you grind and shine. Hosted by Big T, Shay Renee, Amy, and your boy Red. Be sure to tap into Mud Talk every single Friday, starting at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. And catch us the next day, wherever you stream your podcast.
Welcome back. Make sure you tune into Mud Talk. So, we're going to start with our first organization, which is Brothers and Sisters United, where they support men and women in their most important role, which is mother and fatherhood. Miss Avis, can you give us a full description of the organization?
Oh, yeah. So Pathway Incorporated, Brothers and Sisters United, we believe that children are important. So every day we advocate for mothers and fathers, because when mothers and fathers are involved in their children's lives, the whole community thrives. So that's kind of our foundation and what we believe. So our goal is to really do parenting education. People, we kind of floss it out a little bit, but really it is certified, evidence-based parenting education for fathers and for mothers. And what happened was, out of a lot of data for Brothers United, because Brothers United is our foundation, so it's 10 years old. And out of the data, we started about 4 years ago, we started Sisters United, which rocked kind of by itself. And then once we did Sisters United, the mothers kept saying, well, we need to get together with the father, or at least to hear a man's voice, and men wanted to hear the women's voice, and women wanted to hear the men's voice. And that's how Brothers and Sisters United came about, this co-parenting piece that sometimes has co-parents in it, but it can be a single mom, a single dad. Got a lot of single dads in Lucas County, single mom, single dad coming together to really talk about these issues. First, going through the parenting piece themselves. So kind of learning about values, conflict resolution styles, and different things like that. And then coming together and really working through some things about how does that kind of basically work itself out in the real world. So there's one thing to talk about it when you're in a classroom setting or you're talking and discussing, but really, how do you break that down and how do you live that out, once your feet hit the ground and the group is over?
Right. How do you take that back home?
Yeah.
All right. And then we have No Kidding Ohio Lucas County Rise, which is a program that educates the youth about the rights and responsibilities and the realness of teen parenting.
Yeah, so we currently go into the Toledo Public Schools. We will be at Start High School next week and then Bowser the following week. And we've been to plenty schools. The survey says the students want to hear from their peers. So we do hire young moms and young dads to go into the school, and we're there for 3 days consecutive. And the first day, the peer educators share their stories. We talk about goals, healthy relationships, the success sequence, which is get your education, get your career, and then start a family. And then the second day, we talk about paternity. So if you do become in this situation, you know how to establish paternity, why it's important to establish paternity. And then the third day, we talk about child support and the real cost of raising a child. And the students they just love this message. They wish, we presented at a reentry program where men were recently out of incarceration. And we talked about this program. And a lot of them said they wish they had this program when they were in school, because they might not be where they are today had they have had that. And so the students really, really receive this message well. They share their goals. They share, what they've seen as far as unhealthy relationships. The peer educators do a fantastic job of delivering the message. And so that's what we do. And we thoroughly enjoy teaching these kids to wait to have children.
All right. So, one last question for you guys. What is your favorite part of the job?
I think I would say I have multiple things. So because I work with diverse situations, so fathers and children healing the wounded issues, right?
Yes.
That is a banger for me at any given moment. Or a father being able to reunify with his child, right? Like,
Yeah.
so we have some dads that are single. So having that space for men. So really literally too, having men have a space to come to, because it's been so hard. And then particularly for Black men to have a space that they can come in and share, be themselves, let their guard down, say what they need to say, cuss fuss if they need to, get it all out, and then really navigate the space of how do you heal sometimes brokenness that has happened for a lot of years. For mothers, it's the camaraderie of sisterhood. It's camaraderie of brotherhood as well, but it's camaraderie of sisterhood and building a support network. Because
Right.
as we work with mothers, one of the things that we really notice is that mothers have not learned to navigate this support. I call them sister friends, right?
Mhm.
So you watch my kids, I watch your kids, and ain't nobody gonna charge nobody, right? So having you a sister friend that you can lean on and be there with you. I have a sister friend that when we didn't have any money, we used to exchange $20. So I could always go to her for 20 and she could always come to me for 20. Now we ain't had nothing else. We only had the 20, but that would keep us
But you
working.
had that
But that was our
support.
thing. And we never
Mhm.
paid it back. It's just you give me a 20, I give you a 20, you give me a 20.
And it was no
And
judgment.
it was no judgment. We didn't even have to say, I'm like, you got that 20? And she's like, yep, I got it. Right. So having that space. And then I think working with the youth from that prevention end, I think like Miss Anita says, like thinking about, I don't judge if you become a teen parent, but let's think this through, right? What
Right,
does
right.
that really
Mhm.
mean? Because when you become a teen parent, then you have to have adult responsibility. So it's
Yeah, my life.
so it's all of those things of just having, to me, or if I'm in the grocery store, this is a banger right here at any given moment. I'm in the grocery store and people like, and I'm like shopping. I don't got no makeup on. It's Saturday. I'm just doing what I do. And they like, Miss Avis, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up? And then they like, you know what? Thank you. Because I know it, you said some harsh things. It was hard for me to accept it. But as I continue to live life, I've accepted that. So it's those places and pieces that,
Yes.
when I'm in the hood or something, somebody like, what's up? Because I live in the hood. So, it worked for me. Somebody was like, what's up? And they driving down my street, which is Belmont Junction. They driving down, they said, hey, Miss Styles, what's up? I'm like, what's up? How long was it since you was in the program? This is how you've been doing. How the kids, that
Right.
kind of piece of becoming family for us,
Mhm.
becoming family, part of the B, what we call the BU Nation and the SU Nation. So becoming a part of that is what keeps me going.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I was that teen mom. I
Yeah.
had my daughter at 19,
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
but I had a very, very, very supportive
Village.
village
Yeah.
that like was awesome.
Yeah.
Like my mom raised my daughter for the first 3 years
Yeah.
from a wheelchair, like, go ahead and live your life, which I was grateful for because when she passed and I had to be the only person, I had that out of me. I
Yeah.
had that out of me to a certain extent that I was ready, like, okay, put your big girl panties on now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got
You
this.
don't got your mom now. Put your big girl panties on now. You got somebody else that's you responsible for it. Ain't about you no more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of kids, we don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about that a lot in our community and in the homes. We don't talk about that a lot until it happens.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then it's like, what we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate these programs because they bring in awareness before it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Miss Anita, what's your joy?
I think with both child support and this No Kidding Ohio Lucas County Raise program is I give them hope. I really do. I love that aha moment when you can see that they get it. So when I work with child support cases, and a lot of the cases are guys that are graduating from Brothers United, they'll call me. So they're just grateful that they just gained some fatherhood tools through the Brothers United. Then they'll call me about their child support case. And I had a gentleman I can remember, he had his grandma who raised him had passed away. He was looking for an apartment. He was trying to get custody of his children. He was trying to find employment. And then he had to call child support. Now they want money, right? That's what he's thinking. And I said, you know what? So he told me everything that he had going on. And I said, you know what? I'm not looking for money right now. What I need you to do is mourn the loss of your grandma. That's the most important right now. And he felt so relieved because he thought he had to call child support to knock down about $150 on his cases. But I can't even get that if you're not fully there to get employment so that you can pay your child support. You've got issues going on that need to be taken care of first. And when I told him, I said, grieve the loss of your mom. I could sense some relief. And that's the same way with the students in the school. Like you said, there's not a lot of people possibly asking them what their goals are, or what their future goals are after they graduate. And so when we ask that question, they are so willing to share. And so again, these peer educators, when they educate them on the program, they're giving them hope. And so that's what I treasure about the job that I do.
So the peer educators that's part of your program, they have already graduated from high school.
Mhm.
They are parents.
Yes. And they were young parents.
And they were young parents.
Yes.
And then they tell
Mhm.
them about their life.
And we train
stories.
them, of course. They come in and we walk, we train them on how to tell their story. They share the most vulnerable of their stories. Some of them didn't have villages to turn to. And then we teach them about paternity, and we teach them about child support. And they do such a fantastic job. I know there was one specifically that she was at Scott, I think, and the teacher said, you need to become a substitute teacher, because she has that connection. Again, students want to hear from their peers, and she had that connection, and she delivered the message, and she would correct them in a nice way. Hey, you're not supposed to have your phone out while I'm talking. And so we're encouraging her to become a substitute teacher. And so we're going to go through that process with her. Yeah. And hopefully by August, she will become officially a substitute teacher. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we asked our followers, what roadblocks or obstacles or any advantages that they had with co-parenting. And one of our top feedbacks was the common roadblock is different parenting styles, like going to this house and able to do this over here. And then when you come back home, you can't do this over here. And then another one was the lack of communication between the two adults. Mm-hmm. And then the last one was the lack of effort. Like one parent is doing way more than this parent is doing. So like what advice would you give in those like situations?
So you got three situations, right? Yep. You have communication, which I always put to number one, right?
Yes.
Because communication is always an issue. So in theory, I always say to moms and dads, how did you start that relationship? Did y'all know each other? Did y'all have a healthy, relationship before? Because I tell guys straight out, listen, you saw a big booty at the bar. And you like the big booty,
right? And then you end up in a situation.
And then now you have a pregnancy, right? And you didn't know each other at all.
And I can contest to that.
So then when we do that, then women are expecting men. He needs to step up to the plate. He needs to do this, but you didn't require him to step up to the plate when you met him. You let him have a position that he shouldn't have. So then we have to really have this conversation about what did that look like, right? And so then the conversation starts there. Because if I didn't know you, and now I'm sitting here pregnant, and the guy may say like, "Listen, hey, sis, I was just in it to win it. Like I didn't want any of that." And then he proceeds to respond with how he started with you in the first place. Mm-hmm. Now you mad? Mm-hmm. No, sis. Mm-hmm. No, this goes back to you. He told you what he wanted, and now you. So we got to take care of that, right? But that's the piece. Or you had a relationship and then it went sour, right? And somebody still wants somebody. You got a lot of that happening. And then I have to say to my brothers, stop sleeping with people. Because women, we think we in a relationship. If you sleep with me and I listen, you are in a relationship.
We are in a relationship. We go together.
No matter what you're thinking or what I'm saying out my mouth, in my head, we go together. We're together. So then how do you communicate that, right? So how do you communicate? So all of those situations, right? So communication seems to be really the number one thing. That is where we start at. And we talk about things like, what's your conflict resolution style? When you go 0 to 100 real quick, are you an aggressor? Are you passive aggressive? Are you aggressive or are you assertive? Which one are you? So when you find out which one, because I'm clearly aggressive, right? Yeah. I know my style. My husband is passive. So that doesn't make either one of us good or bad. But when tension comes, I'm popping off. You know, you already know what you're going to get. So how do we navigate that? How do I regulate myself, right?
Right.
Because I have to learn to control myself, but my natural style is going to always come out, right? And so how do I navigate that? Because I can only change myself. So that's the kind of real talk conversations we have to have around what is conversation and expectations, right? Because we come from two different homes, and I like to say this: there is in that child is two DNAs. Sometimes DNA should not mix.
Hello.
Those are not DNAs.
Hello.
This DNA should have went over here. This went over here, but we mixed it. And now
Yeah.
we're mixing two different parenting styles,
Yeah.
two different culture styles, two different home styles. And so then by the time we get to where the child is going to this house and this house, we still going to take all, because all of those things that you mentioned can be solved by communication and effective and healthy communication. It could be solved, but it take a lot of work to get there. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree. Definitely. And I think that too, we as women, sometimes we just think like, you a man, you should know this. But that don't happen all the time. Because
Well, I don't know.
everyone is not, everyone does not have that model.
You have to meet
Like,
people where they're at.
Yes,
Yeah.
everyone does not have that same, like you said, we came from two different households.
Right.
So everyone parenting skills that they was, that environment that they was in is different. And everyone was shown a different model. I was raised by a single mother. So my dad was over here doing what he do. He pop in, he pop out. He do, you know, I see him. If I do, I don't. If I do, okay. But my mother always made it happen. It was no question about it. My mother always made it happen. So when I started having kids, and I've had kids in both situations that we just discussed. I had a baby at 19 that I wasn't ready, but my mother had multiple sclerosis. She knew that she was going to be dying soon, and she wanted to see her first grandchild. So, for the first,
since we're here,
so the first 3 years, but the first 3 years, to be honest, the first 3 years, I didn't raise my daughter. My mother raised my daughter. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't there. Like my mother gave me free reign to experience life. So I didn't raise my daughter for the first 3 years. And then when my mother passed, when I was 23, I was pregnant again by somebody I did not know. I was having fun. And I got pregnant. And my grandmother was like, your mom wasn't ready to go. You know, everybody started hitting me with their stories. And I'm like, what am I about to do with 2 kids and a 9-year-old sister? Like, I don't have my mom here. But now, as I then got older, I see that out of my own, of me not knowing my dad family. I could tell you everything about my mother family. My dad, I'd be like, I know this, I know this, I know what they told me, but I don't really know. And I see my kids experiencing that too. And it's at some point, we as adults have to take accountability. I didn't get to know who they were. I didn't get to know their family. I didn't get to know their history, their background. Do they got mental illness in their family? Do they got
All
this?
of that,
Like,
yeah.
I didn't take the time to do that. I just jumped. I'm young. I jumped. We having fun. We doing grown up. And now I'm a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when you're talking with young parents, that's kind of where we are. And once again, when we talk about, I call them holes in your heart, right? So when there is fatherhood situations, then they create holes in hearts, right? That are not easily mended or put together, right? And we tend to create, but Dr. Kawanza Kunjufu says that mothers raise their daughters and love their sons.
Yes,
and I
I've heard
tend
that.
to say that would be accurate, right? And especially in the Black community. And there's a reason for that, right? But there are multiple reasons when we talk about, and in particular, you talk about the Black family, how we were shaped, how we were brought over, the things that occur for us. And it's really not. People are like, yeah, you just make an excuse. No, these are years and years of trauma that have happened to Black families over and over and over again. And then we try to say, no, that doesn't matter. No. Yes, it does. It is how we're shaped now, right? And we have to think about how we treat one another. So I'll give you an example. my grandmother and my aunt said to me, "Listen, come here." I said, "Baby, you keep you some money. Because you know, when he act up, you always got your little money on the side so you can leave him. You know, be prepared." Well, who tells somebody that at
I was told that too.
at age?
I was told you always. My grandmother told me, I don't care what no man
Man,
does for
you
you.
put your money
You
in.
always have you a safety net over
Well,
here on
well,
the side,
does
so
it
you
make
could take
sense?
care of
So now,
yourself.
then you try to go into a relationship and you're trying to trust, and he trying to figure out, well, why you don't trust me? I'm doing what I can.
Because
And
I
you like,
Right.
because I already
You
got
already
it
got
in
it in your
my
mind.
Because really, what they were sowing was seeds to say this is not going to work out.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Now,
Right.
not that you shouldn't prepare. You should always be prepared to take care of yourself. Anybody,
Anybody
if
in
you by
any
yourself,
situation,
in any situation,
But not with that intention.
but
yes.
not with that intention.
Not
So
with
you're
that
just walking
intention.
around at 19, 20, like side eye. What are you going to do?
Right. Right.
Right.
Because then he will never meet your expectations
Never.
Never.
because you have that escape route
Right.
already planned.
But I
Mhm.
understood it. You know, I understood it. You understand it now, but it's breaking those kind of things. Going to say, hey, wait a minute, because when you finally do get married, or have a healthy relationship, you got to work together. You're gonna have to put all your money
And
and
one.
all his money
And one.
to be able to make it in one, because you can't have nothing on the side. Not well, I don't know. Not nowadays. I don't know where your side money going, because you got grocery money, but you learn how to work together, right? And
Right.
that's that communication piece. I'm sorry, Anita.
No, you're doing fine. Two things I want to hit on is communication. As she asked in that question, a lot of people don't know how to communicate. How do I communicate that you do something different at your home and I do something different at my home? It's the communication of understanding and secure the children first. If your question is to fully understand and putting your child first, it should be with compassion. Help me to understand why you allow our child to stay up till 9 o'clock on a school night. Help me to understand that. And then he would explain, because you can't attack. As soon as we attack, they're going to be like, I'm going to answer you. And then another thing Avis touched on was the hearts, the holes in the hearts. Parents, in my opinion, have two jobs. One is to heal yourself, and then to take care of your child.
Yes.
Because with those holes in your heart, you are never going to have that compassion. You're always going to have that hurt. And that hurt is going to come out through your mouth and your attitude and everything else. But we need to secure the children first in everything we do.
I love that.
In everything we do.
Yes. I think too, just off of me, because I'm just now getting to a place where I'm working on me and getting that healing, and I'm 46 years old. But then I didn't have that time to do that because I was the single parent. So all I got to do, I have to work.
We're
Because
in
I gotta
survival
keep.
mode.
I'm in survival mode.
Yeah.
I gotta keep a roof over us. I gotta make sure I got a car. I gotta make sure we got food. So my emotions, my well-being took the back seat because all I know how to do is put a cape on and be strong for everybody and be the superwoman for everybody needs. To now that my kids are grown and we only got one left at home. Now I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. I'm moody. Like, what is wrong with me? Okay, now I got to do the work on me. But if I had these resources, or I had, more hands-on sister girlfriends where we could have this village for each other, I probably would have been better mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I would have been able to handle,
Right.
I would have been able to handle things better.
And no heat, no judgment, because there are so many people struggling, married, single, everything.
Everybody.
But if we don't take care of our mental health and
We're
our
no
spiritual
good.
health, our kids are getting the crumbs of us.
Yes.
And that's not where we need to be. And so, again, why I want to create tabletop conversations for people to have that space to just come in and say, I'm tired. And I don't know how to communicate. I was talking to a woman the other day and she said, I don't know the words to teach my daughter some lessons. We got to start basic. We got to start with communication skills. How do we ask a question? How do we say I statements? I feel instead of you do. So we got to start with some basic. Yeah, we do.
And I mean, even when you think about angry, people are always like, why are these Black women angry? Really, we're not. Anger is a secondary emotion.
Yes, we're hurt.
There's
we're
a
sad.
primary. So there's frustration, there's hurt. Why are all these Black men popping off because it's not anger. It's because they feel disrespected or whatever the word is that comes. But who teaches, that anger is a secondary emotion? We just like, oh, everybody just angry, riled up. No, we haven't dealt with so many things. But so people say, this is what I said during COVID. What good could come out of COVID? Because I was tired of looking at all the negative things of COVID. One of the good things that came out of COVID is with the ability to be virtual. So nowadays, like when you're talking about the difference before COVID was that you couldn't do therapy because the therapists say, I work from this hours to this hours. It forced the therapist to say, oh, wait a minute, I need to work at 6 or 7. We got to go virtual. So now even a mother who may work all day, whatever, she put the kids down, the therapist will meet you at 8 o'clock at night online.
Yeah, right? I'm part of a therapy group at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock, and it worked. We don't have to always, we want the human touch, and we get that as well, but you can get it in and still get all those things in. And it's communication to children. So 2 things, communication in our community. I loathe baby mama, baby daddy. I loathe it. Every time I hear it, it makes me cringe because there is nothing affirming about it. We think it's cute and it's not cute, because when you say a baby daddy, you take a man and you kick him to just be nothing. Now, he may not have done all that he is supposed to have done, but he is not just a baby daddy. He's a father, a baby mother. So the co-parenting term, as we started to teach it, as a matter of fact, when I told somebody that I was going to talk to Black men and Black women and have them say co-parents, they was like, oh, you tripping. You will never be able to have them saying co-parents. I was like, yes, I will. It's an easy switch, right? Because when you talk about co-parenting, you're focusing in on the child. So when we say co-parent, hey, co-parent, then I'm not so prone to be like, you the dude I had a baby with, and I don't even like you. Right? Like I still don't like you, right? But you start to say, but this is half. So someone said to me once, he ignorant. He's so ignorant. I said, oh, half your child ignorant. She said, she's getting riled up. Wait a minute. Miss Avis, you disrespected me. I said, no. Did you say that your co-parent was ignorant? She said, yes. I said, is that his child? She said, yes. I said, is that blood, line in there? She said, yes. I said, well, you just called half your child ignorant. Well, I would never call my baby ignorant. Then don't call him ignorant. And see him as half a parent that both of y'all in there. Now, like I said, Prego is in there. So, you might not want to mix that, but here we are. And then how do we navigate that? And sometimes parents need to apologize to their children and tell their children the story of what happened with their parents, because maybe you did love, your ex-partner or whatever. You loved your co-parent. I was in love with him. I thought he was rocking with me. We was together, but he was kind of like a hoe, like he just liked women.
Might I just say age appropriate? Age appropriate.
Age appropriate. So you're not gonna say that at 5,
right?
But listen, nowadays, honey, the way they stand all this on the internet, you might need to start at about 8, saying, "Listen, let me tell you," because some stuff they're already have been exposed to by YouTube or quick bites of whatever. But just saying to them and saying to your child, you know what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've done that.
I didn't start this right.
I've done that to both of. I've done that with both of my daughters, and I'm very, very, very transparent with both of my daughters about my situations, how they came about, everything that has tried. I'm an open book when it comes to my kids. I'm an open book pretty much anyway, but I'm more so an open book when it comes to my kids because I don't want them to go down the road that I went down. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm going to bring it straight to you, raw and uncut. This is what mama did. This is what I did. My kids know everything. Like I have that conversation.
Be the better for it, right?
Yes.
So when it does come time to have those conversations with their father, who for whatever reason may have, and that's our job, is to find out the reason. We get to the gritty part of it. Right. Like, why did you walk away? What were you thinking? Some fathers walk away because they feel like, well, I done messed up now. It's sort of like someone who does drugs, right? Somebody who is a drug addict, they kind of have a drug addiction. So as they continue in their drug addiction, they just go deeper and deeper because they're like, well, I already messed it up. And then what do? If you feeling bad, you go back to the drug and you just keep going down, right? So some dads is like, well, I've heard dads say this, like, it was best for me to walk away. I wasn't going to be no good dad anyway. And then I have to say, well, listen, sir, You don't get to judge that.
Well,
The child gets to say whether or not you a good dad or not. So you made a mistake, and helping them to go back and say I'm sorry. And sometimes they'll say, "Well, how many times I got to say sorry?" I'm like,
as many times as the kid needed.
It. Like
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
matter of fact, keep saying it. Every time you see him for the years that you was gone, because
Yeah.
you got a lot of sorries to make up for. So every time you see him, just be like, dude, sorry.
But
sorry,
then you have those fathers that blame place.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't in your life because your mama kept you in your way.
Yeah.
I wasn't in your life. I went through that too. And it wasn't that if your lifestyle shows me that my child is in danger,
secure the children
I'm
first.
going to secure my child.
First, right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
yes, I took the heat of that,
Yep.
you not being able to have a close relationship with your father. And
Because it wasn't safe.
I apologize to it, but I had to tell him their lifestyle wasn't safe.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to put you somewhere where
Right.
I'm getting a call. We got to come down to the station to pick up your kid, like,
Right.
or the car done been shot up or something.
Right.
I'm not going to put you in there. And my kids always say, "Well, Mom, you picked them," and I said, "You know what? I did, but I was in that lifestyle too."
Yeah.
Right. And creating spaces, because sometimes what you try to do, we've navigated multiple spaces. So sometimes if mothers will say, I'm afraid. Okay, well, do we got a sister? Do we got a cousin? Who's your sister friend? Can he come over to your sister friend house and they're able to see them there, or just navigating spaces and places where it can be, right? Because sometimes what you don't know or you don't have support to, you just keep it pushing, right?
Mhm.
But we have a tremendous problem with mother's gatekeeping and grandmother's gatekeeping because of sometimes the way we've been taught, right?
Mhm.
We're like, we can make it, and this is why Black women die of heart disease, because our hearts are not only, we just working, but we also tired. We also mentally tired because we really take that chance to do it all by ourselves. Listen, I told my ex-husband, listen, you could do one or two things. You can get these kids and you can listen. I was married and I said, I will write child support off. I don't care anything about that. Come get these kids every weekend or every other weekend. Your call.
Yeah, because
Right?
sometimes it's not about the money.
No,
it's about the
ain't never-
time.
it's always about presence.
Children
Yeah.
only know the time spent
Right, because
with
they
them.
don't know who bought what, and
Right.
or don't care who bought what.
Don't
They
care.
gonna come back to. I remember it. My daughter is 26 years old. She can remember of my other daughter's dad. Like, I remember when he took me to the park and was playing with me at the
Absolutely.
park.
He didn't remember the gift. She didn't remember the
None
gift.
of
She
that.
under
didn't
the
remember
Christmas
the
tree.
gifts or
Right.
nothing, but
right.
she remembered that
time.
moment. So
Yeah.
it's never about the money. And I have a catch-22 when it comes to child support, because I feel like with my kids, I knew I had to have them on child support because at the time I needed assistance.
Okay. Yep.
But I also knew their lifestyle. They're never going to get a job. They're going to continue the lifestyle that they're living. So now child support, we just finished child support actually,
Okay.
because as we got older, we mature, we've grown. My daughter dad couldn't get his driver's license as a child support. So I said, okay, what you need me to do? Because I see the progress in you. I see that you're trying to grow. I see that you're trying to change. So I'll write it off. One, you did 10 years in the penitentiary. So I feel like you shouldn't be penalized for that 10 years that you was in the penitentiary. Yes, I did it on my own. Did I need your help? Yes, I did. But what could you do from there? So you got this large amount that you a felon. You can't get a job. Like, so I wrote that off. Now I do see some ways where, okay, dude, you're not gonna do nothing. You're not doing no time. You can't bring no pamper. You can't do nothing. I don't got no choice now. Now my hands is tied, one, because I need assistance. So I'm gonna have to get some child support. Two, I ain't make this baby by myself. So if you're not going to willingly step up to the plate and at least meet me halfway, like, that's where you say communication. Okay, I don't have it financially, but I can pick them up from school. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this for you. Okay, well, we can cut child support and you keep to this. Now, if you decide you're not gonna follow this, then I gotta go ahead and do this.
Right.
That's why it's
Yeah.
important. We do what we call a co-parenting agreement, right? And you can take that into court. My position on court is my position on anybody other than me and you talking about this baby is, was they there?
Right.
Child support was not there when we was. Let some people have other people involved, and then bring in whoever you had involved. But if you and I made this baby, we've got to get to the place, especially in the Black community, that we can say, let's sit down. That's why we offer those kind of things. Y'all call me now if y'all need this. We offer these kind of things where we can sit down and work out this parenting agreement to say, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do this, and I can do this and I can do that. And let's trust each other, because what you're saying is so true. This person changes, people start growing, and people like, no, he always going to be that way. Well, nobody stays the same way all the time.
Right,
At some
right,
point,
right.
somebody's going to change, right? And going to grow in situations. And how do you navigate that? And sometimes you need to have those spaces, and have those spaces and places with people that look like us. Because when you go down to the media, first of all, don't nobody want to go to court. I've been
No.
working in the field for 32 years. You send me something for court, I don't want to go to court. I want to do it. But sometimes having the conversations, like when Miss Anita was saying, the prep part, when we're talking to the men about child support, we're like, listen, you have to be able to be responsible for your child in a holistic way. Now, then we put on a little tape of Miss Anita on the group chat, right there, Miss Anita talking. And then because Anita is so efficient, she's built a reputation in the community that she will help you. Right?
Yeah.
So now people that don't even take the program be calling her, they be lying. Talking about, I'm in Brothers United, can you take my child? I said, I don't even know. Did he take the group? But I don't mind. Use it, bro. Use that to be able to get, and then she's able to navigate and explain, right? Because a lot of it is that we don't understand.
Right.
We don't understand why we're here, how we got here, what's the process.
Yeah.
But as soon as that light comes on that is explained, then we're like, oh, this is what we need to do. But I think the most important thing, and again, especially in the Black community, we've got to heal our own community.
Yeah.
We've got to heal our hearts, right? We've got to get to the place to where we can be able to talk it out, share, complain about it, fuss about it, but at the end of the day, come and get the support and help you need, because it's not always going to be here. It's here now. It may not always be here. But and then as we've done that, then the community can actually heal themselves, right? And heal these situations. And thank God for your story, because not a lot of mothers would do that. They would still be mad. But that's the piece that
I had some of my friends like, girl, he owe you that money. Don't go do that. And I'm like, one, I don't need it. Two, my kids is grown. Could they use some of it? Yeah, they probably could. But if this is gonna help him get in a better position, my kids didn't lack nothing. He didn't lack nothing. And didn't lack nothing. So why would I hold this over him?
Right.
That's a bitter baby mama.
Yeah. That's very
And in
bitter.
all actuality, with child support, I mean, that is our ultimate goal. We brought some men in, and Avis was there at this event, and they come in and they're very angry. And one of them kept saying, I have custody of my child. But that's the things that we need to know, because if the court order says you have to pay for your child because you don't have custody, then you need to go. We need to teach you what you need to do in order to terminate that child support, because our ultimate goal at child support is really for you all to work it out together without the system. Because once you bring in the courts and child support into your children's lives, that's not our goal. Our goal is for you to co-parent together, which is the topic of today, co-parenting together.
And I think that's why a lot of men are angry, though, because they feel like, well, she wouldn't put me on child support. I'm not doing nothing. But I'm only going to do my payment. And it's like, but it's more to this.
Yes.
Let's sit down. Let's have this discussion.
So you stated that you had to go on child support because you were collecting assistance when the child was born, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were co-parenting together from the very beginning,
they wouldn't have never even had
you wouldn't have had to go on welfare to get, because when you get a welfare check, when that baby's born, you are required to open up a child support case so that a paternity can be established, so child support can be set. But again, if you're there at the beginning and taking care of each other financially for the sake of the child, there would be no child support.
No
Right.
child support.
There would be no child
Exactly.
support.
And let's be clear about systems as well. My reluctancy of systems is because they disproportionately treat Black people different than they do over and over and over again in Lucas County, child welfare, everybody. It's just the way that the systems are built from the federal government down. Even realizing that even in Ohio, if a parent is not married, if a father and a mother have a baby and they're not married, the father has no rights, no custody at all. He has to go file to be a father, which is just, come on, it's 2024. We're working with systems, and antiquated systems, whose laws and rules and policies and legislation policies are from 1972.
Yeah.
And then we throw some disproportionality on there. Then we throw that. So then we have these systems that then help us not to navigate. And so we're always talking about how can we work together? How can we go? And each situation is different.
Yes.
You can't lump them in, throw them in, put them in the box and shake them up. You've got to look at each individual person. And sometimes what we find is that, listen, people are just scared of systems, right? Sometimes as an advocate, I'm scared of systems, right? I have to go in, 2 flat feet down, going, no, this is what's not going to happen today. We're going to figure this out, and we're able to handle that. And these are the things that we've been through. But really taking parents through this conversation, right? Having this important conversation is that, how do we get our focus in on this child is
Right.
always key. So when you're thinking about communication, when you're thinking about, and listen, sometimes I tell moms and dads, listen, these are the situations that we've created. Well, go on at your house, go on at your house. If you give them popsicles, so my mama would say, we couldn't have candy. Girl, please. I get in the car with my daddy. We going to the store.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if he hit the corner, we was at the corner store. She was following us. We was at the corner store because I'm like, Daddy, we gonna get some candy. He like, I'm gonna give you $5. Go on in there, right? And it was on and popping the whole time. And then we got back to her house and she said, I know you had candy. Yeah, we did. Well, we don't get candy here. Okay, and as the children are resilient. You figure out what you can get away with over here
And what you can't.
So
Yeah.
sometimes even arguing about those things, my mother would send a gallon of milk. You know what my daddy was going, and my grandma was going to let us drink pop. We coming out the house with this gallon of milk. When I got older, I was like, Mom, you just totally wasting money. My grandma was like, put that in there because I'm going to make a cake with that milk. Now y'all going back out there and get you some pop. But she was so just, trying to just push her way about what she wanted, right? And so sometimes you just have to let that go and say, or even if there's a boyfriend and a girlfriend come in, now the woman don't want to send the kid because she'll say, I don't want no other women about her kids. Listen, if the children are with him and there is not a safety issue, bye-bye.
I think that's the women they want to control.
Right. Yeah. Go out and have you some fun. Get a break.
And let's talk about what does it mean to secure the children first? It don't mean that daddy lets them stay on the tablet. That's not a safety concern. Right. The safety concern is drugs, violence, whatever is happening. That's a safety concern. Right. So when we say secure the children first, it's not to control what's happening at daddy's house as long as they're safe, or what's happening at mom's house.
And I had to do that. I had to do that because another female came into the picture. And at first I was there. My kid ain't going over there. I don't know her. She don't know me. I don't know nothing about her. My kid ain't going over there. But then I had to go back to where my mother used to tell me, like I said, my dad used to come in and out. And my mother never talked down about my dad to me, never in front of me, and wouldn't allow nobody else to. She said she will see him for who he is on her own. But I remember my mother's packing me a bag because she knew my dad was not in a situation, like he wasn't stable, but I wanted to be with my dad. So my mom would pack me a bag with food in it. I had snacks in it. I had everything that I need in there so that I could be with my dad. Yeah. Because she like, at the end of the day, it's not my feelings, it's theirs.
She put you first.
Yeah.
She put
and that's how I did with my kids to a certain extent. If I knew he was with his girlfriend and her kids, yeah, they can go.
Yeah.
Or if him and his brother or somebody was driving who I knew had a license, yeah, they can go.
Yeah.
I would drop them off over there. But you have to get to a point too of ain't no feelings involved no more.
That's why that Usher song, you know, we ain't good.
Ain't no
But we
feeling, ain't
still
no
good.
feelings
You gotta be
involved no
good. You
more.
gotta keep it
But
good.
for the longest, I can be honest, it was still feelings involved because we was still doing what we was doing in the back scene.
That part.
We was
And
still
which is
doing what we
hard-
was
which is
doing in
where
the
you-
back
you-
scene.
it's
Yeah,
hard to
he had a
disconnect.
girlfriend right here, and I had a dude too, but we was still meeting up doing what we was doing, so it was still causing feelings.
Yeah.
So you can't say, "Oh, I'm about to take her with me with my girl," and
Because
hold on, we was just together yesterday.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So
Yeah.
you gotta you gotta take accountability also.
Yeah.
And when those feelings ain't involved no more, you good.
You good.
Yeah.
You good. Because you ain't trying to control that household.
Right.
You long as your kid is safe. And at the bottom line, that's where everyone has to be.
Plus, you're being a responsible adult, because a lot of parents are bringing their childhood trauma to co-parenting, and that's the issue. So you just mentioned there was some healing going on, and so you're bringing your most responsible adult to the table and putting your child first. Because when we come with co-parenting as a wounded child, it's all about me. It's all about me. And we're forgetting the child first.
That healing piece is so important.
Yeah.
On both ends, right?
Right.
And no judgment to where somebody starts. Sometimes I'll say to co-parents, you're 5 steps ahead. If you come to Brothers and Sisters United, you're 5 steps ahead of your co-parent. So you know what we say? Go get them and tell them to take the class too. So we catch him up or catch her up so we can get on the same page, right? And even if that doesn't happen, in your minds, you have to constantly say, I'm a few steps ahead of him, or I'm a few steps ahead of her on this situation. Let me wait, right? Let me wait for this other person to catch up, right? But when we do bring our trauma in, and everybody has it, right?
Yeah.
If you're minority, you walking in the room with some trauma.
Or your past relationship experience
It
with
can
that
be
person
trauma.
you bring
Right.
to the table in the co-parenting.
But when you walk in a space of forgiveness, and I describe forgiveness like this, right? So I read the Bible. So the Bible says that God takes our sins. When I say something to him, if I do something, I say, hey, God, forgive me. They say he cast it in the sea of forgetfulness, which means he didn't do no process. He didn't
make a list.
He didn't make no list. He ain't still mad.
He ain't bring it back
he
up.
Over it. He over it. Why we not operating like that?
Because we don't know how to show each other grace.
We don't know how to show each other grace. And so you have to be able to show that parent grace for the sake of the child. So I love the fact that you said, let me help him out. You're not helping him, you helping your child. And if you could take the focus off of that, I'm helping my child. But how do we walk in that forgiveness? And it's hard. I'm not, listen, baby, don't get it twisted. It's a hard thing to do. But once you do it, then when you heal your children, and then you heal your children's children. But when you heal, when you say, you know what, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to look on this side. I'm going to work with that person.
When you start taking accountability. I had to take some accountability in my actions of the things that I did too. And just maybe 2 years ago, I had to sit down and apologize to both of my kids' dad. I had to put on my big girl panties, and I didn't want to, but like you, I'm obedient to what my Heavenly Father tells me to do. And I had to say, forgive. I'm sorry that I did this to you, because I seen that my actions in it played an effect to my kid.
In the healing world, it's what they call it is, it's not about the tear, it's about the repair.
Yes,
that's the most important. That is the most important.
Yes,
it's how do we repair? And if we're angry with our co-parent and we're just rashing out in front of our child or whatever, and we're doing that, we can always circle back to that conversation and say, you know what? I had a bad day. I'm so sorry. It's not about the tear. It's about the repair.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how we fix it.
Nice.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this was good, ladies.
Was that the first question?
This was good. So before we bounce out of here, we go into our highlight of the day, which is co-parenting is not a competition between parents. It's a collabo to do what's best for the child or the children. So
can I add one more thing?
Yes.
All right. So I'm glad you brought up the Bible, because in Matthew 18, it talks about divorce. Okay. Relationships end, whether you were married or not, or married, and a relationship may end and you have children. And in Matthew 19, it talks about the blessing of the children.
Yes.
And why in that order? Because the children need to be blessed because they're the most hurt by the decision of the parents to have the relationship end. And so, as we continue on blessing our children, when you bless someone, you give yourself to them and you put them first. And so, I ask all co parents to continue to bless the children, regardless of the fact that your relationship has ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Again, thank you, ladies, for stopping by. But before we end, how can someone get in touch with you or the program?
419-279-0798. You can call and text. I get up at 5. I go to bed at 10. 419-279-0798. Come on and get this work. Come on and do the work. Come on and get this work. Come on and heal your children so we can have your children's children be healed.
Yes, Miss Anita.
For child support, it's 419-213-3183. And also for the No Kidding Ohio Lucas County Raise. Now, we do go into the schools. We can come to different areas. Our age target group is 14 to 18. But yeah, you can reach me at 419-213-3183.
And she can help you with your child support needs. If you're a father who is not financially stable right now, make the call. Make the call. Get yourself out of the situation. We don't know unless you speak up and say something.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, ladies, again. And our final play of the day is our Coach's Corner, which is children need and deserve love, care, support of both parents.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. And until next month, be blessed. And I love you all.